Her journey began years ago when she was crowned Miss Fifth Form, and boy, did she leave an imprint on the industry. That experience, she says, took a molding effect on the individual she has blossomed into today. Her eloquence, poise, awareness, and beauty, of course, it all speaks for itself and has afforded her yet another gracious opportunity. Viewers, 10 years later, she's now crowned and ready to serve as your Miss British Virgin Islands 2019. This is your 284 Media exclusive with this BVI beauty. Miss Bria Smith, Miss British Virgin Islands 2019, slated to represent us on the international stage. Stick and stay.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
So we have royalty in the house. Bria Smith, welcome back to 284 Media.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, so Bria, you delivered a stellar performance, of course, to capture the prestigious title of Miss British Virgin Islands 2019. Now, I know this was not an easy journey. A lot of persons underestimate the pursuit of a crown, but just walk us through your process, your journey, the ups and downs, the ins and outs, the good moments, the bad moments. What was it like for you?
Well, as you mentioned, this was a journey that started about 10 years ago. And it was a journey that you had to mentally prepare for. And the setbacks.
Many of them.
Setbacks, many mental ones as well, because it's really tough having to transition or literally change your life, because once you are crowned or once you're even in preparation for Miss BVI, your life begins to change. Your life is no longer your own, for lack of a better term, because you now become a representation of not just yourself, but a representation of the entire Virgin Islands. The minute you send forward that application and the minute that you're accepted, you become a representation of the entire Virgin Islands. The challenges, there are many, but at the end of the day, there's always a reward. You learn so many things. You learn so much about yourself. So many things you probably didn't know you could accomplish.
Right.
You can do. And I must say that that was my story. I learned a lot of things about myself that I thought I'd already known being 26 years old, but life is forever a learning experience.
Right, an ongoing classroom. And I like to tell people, adversity usually introduces a man to himself. So you realize how much stronger you are than you probably were aware of. So I'm sure it was an enjoyable journey. What was your relationship like with the other contestants? Because we had 5 of you, 5 beautiful, capable young ladies, of course. Some of them returning to the stage, some of them dabbling in pageantry for the very first time. But what was that journey like walking through with these other 4 young ladies from the BVI?
Well, first, I want to say that the committee chose a splendid group of young ladies. The ladies were amazing to work with. A lot of different personalities, so we were all able to actually blend. And a lot of persons actually are really always put in the whole question of ladies can't work together.
Right.
But we proved them wrong. We proved them wrong. We worked very well together.
You guys seem to be closer than
We had a lot of fun together, and I must commend the committee for even doing as much things that they did to keep us together and working together. And even to this day, we still talk and we still have that relationship.
I was just about to ask, are you guys still friends?
Yes, we are. We're in a little group chat. So we still kind of talk and we still try to get things going together, because I did promise that I would still try to assist them in the platforms that they were pushing forward, because at the end of the day, it is one entire British Virgin Islands. And though my platform may have been one thing, all the different platforms build a better Virgin Islands.
I agree with that, and I do applaud the collective efforts. I remember seeing some of the other contestants partaking in your platform initiative, and of course vice versa. So great camaraderie. How big of a factor was support? Because pageantry in general, it's a major undertaking. persons think it's just about getting up on stage and modeling and, and exhibiting poise and all of that, but it goes way beyond, and you would know that. And not just public support, but the support from the persons who walked you through this journey, who provided physical, financial, whatever, emotional support throughout this journey. Who would you like to acknowledge, and how important was their support in this process for you?
Well, as you mentioned, support is everything. It really is a driving motivation for any undertaking, especially with the Miss British Virgin Islands pageant. My support came from my family and my chaperone, Zoe Walcott.
Yes,
and
a veteran herself.
She was an amazing person to work with. She really helped me, even keeping my emotions in check, because as you know, long nights, long hours, I was still working my 9 to 5 with government, and it was very exhausting having to balance the two. And she was very supportive and patient with me, especially my mom as well. She was there from the beginning and still is there today, and my father, my sisters, my entire family, but more so my sponsors, because you can have the most wonderful ideas, but if you don't have the financial backing, a lot of times you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish. And so my sponsors, Skeleton Group of Companies, Caribbean Sellers, and SEO Enterprises, they were lifesavers. And I have to thank them so much for what they allowed me to accomplish. I would love to also acknowledge the committee. The committee worked so hard behind the scenes with all of us and getting us to be prepared for the night of the show, and even for tomorrow, or the life that we will live following Miss BVI, because though you walk off that stage, crowned or uncrowned, you are still in the light. You still play a very integral role in the community. And I think the committee allowed us the opportunity to prepare for that.
Just to divulge a bit, major controversy in the region, Miss USVI being crowned, a non-American being crowned as Miss US Virgin Islands, and persons know by now that she was not from the territory. As a matter of fact, she moved there just a few months prior to being crowned Miss USVI. Now, in addition to that, she dabbled in pageantry before. She competed in the Miss Florida pageant, and then she competed this last January, in Miss Utah, and was able to place third runner-up. So most persons are of the opinion that she probably just went to the U.S. Virgin Islands to qualify for that pageant. Now, like I said, it sparked major controversy. Probably could have incited a fight, because we saw there was some commotion after the event. But it really got the world talking about the qualifying criteria for pageantry and how important it is for somebody to be from that specific space in order to serve as an ambassador for the country. So what are your opinions on this issue, Bria?
It's funny that you brought that up, because I was in St. Croix that same weekend of the pageant. So I did get a lot of the community feedback. Persons did say a lot of things, and I was aware of the controversy. The thing I suppose we should be aware of is the current criteria of the United States Virgin Islands University pageant. And the current criteria is to at least be living in the territory for 6 months, or even attending the university that they have. This criteria is in actual line with the Miss Universe criteria, which requires you to be living in the territory that you're representing for at least 6 months.
But what do you think about that? Because I know that was revised. That rule became, it was a lax rule ever since the new holders acquired the franchise from, of course, President Donald Trump. But what do you think about them relaxing the rules so much? Because I look at you, and I see and I feel Miss British Virgin Islands, because I could hear culture embedded in you. And I think it's so important that whoever's represented have a sense of national pride. Do you think realistically someone can acquire that pride in 6 months?
No, I do not believe that you can acquire the pride. You can acquire the understanding and the history of the island or the place that you're representing. But to acquire the pride seems, in a time frame, it is somewhat impossible. However, I am of the belief that while Andrea, the current Miss US Virgin Islands Universe, did do what she was required to do based on the requirements.
Right.
I do believe that the committee should consider the public outcry and all of the concerns that the people have, because I'm of the belief that representation matters. It is very important. And if the people would love to see someone like themselves, or someone who they know on a regular basis, or someone who they know can represent who they are as a people, that is something that they should probably consider and take into serious consideration, because pride cannot be acquired in the time that we expect it to be acquired. It's embedded in you based on what you grew up learning, what you grew up knowing, or what you experienced as a child and even to adulthood.
And that's the pizzazz that the international community looks forward to when a chunk of the Caribbean, or somebody coming from the Caribbean, of course, to represent on the international stage. So I wish we wouldn't dilute that down. Let's speak to your platform initiatives over the next year as Queen. I know cultural and historical preservation. How do you intend to carry that to the international stage, and what has overall the preparations been like so far?
Well, my platform is actually going to be a bit more specific in a way, because cultural and historical preservation is so broad, and when you hear it off the bat, you automatically just think the preservation of our cultural sites or historical sites, and just who we are as Virgin Islanders with regards to our national items, or the things that we celebrate as our national pride. But what I have intended to do is to tailor my platform from being cultural and historical preservation alone to being cultural and historical preservation through authenticity, education, and artistic expression. And so that includes so many things. It includes our arts, our performing arts. It includes our education system and getting our culture and our history back into the schools, and authenticity in letting persons truly understand who we are and feeling it and knowing it. So it's much bigger now, and it's much more centered in at least 3 different categories. And so my plan is to really collaborate with the Tourist Board, to collaborate with the Ministry of Education, Culture, Agriculture, Fisheries, and Youth Affairs, and as well as collaborating with anyone in the community when it comes to bringing back national pride, or even embolden it. So the beauty of the platform is that culture and historical preservation is not just who we are from in the past, but what we do today reflects what our story will be tomorrow.
Right.
And so all of the things that we have to do, it begins now, and that's what I intend to do with everything. Our environment. If we don't take care of our environment, there will be no culture and history to even preserve. So everything that we do is actually related to my platform, and I intend to show that in the international stage, because it's not just an issue we're having here in the Virgin Islands. So many places are losing who they are and their culture and their history, and so many people are struggling to try and preserve it. And so this affects everyone.
Yes.
And that's something that I intend to push forward.
It's definitely an international conversation. Bria, in closing, I have to ask you, what has been your biggest takeaway from all of this?
My biggest takeaway? That support is everything. And I spoke about it before, but sometimes you don't know your power until someone pushes you to actually feel it and experience it. And I must say the public support has been the most heartwarming thing that I've ever experienced. People supporting you from before and even today, and it means a lot. It really means a lot to have persons wish me well and to even talk about how much I've inspired them.
And you have.
And that's something you can't create that on your own. It has to come from the heart, and I have been feeling it, I have been appreciating it, and that's been my biggest takeaway. I
Well,
really appreciate the people of the Virgin Islands, and I just want to do my best to represent them as best as I can.
well, you deserve it. Let me just say that. And overall, we are very proud of what you've been able to accomplish professionally, personally. And I think the territory will agree with me on the fact that I think that's what makes you the best fit for this year's Miss British Virgin Islands. And again, we are very proud of you, and we look forward to supporting you on this year ahead, and of course beyond. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, I'm Javon Wilson, and this has been your 284 exclusive with Miss British Virgin Islands.
How may I assist you? Yes. You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?